Hey family, Keith Conyers here. It's January 14th, 2023, and I want to do a quick check-in with you and ask you, what do you need? The reason why I want to ask is because I've quit a lot of things in my life, sometimes too soon, sometimes not soon enough, and sometimes things that I shouldn't have quitted. Can I say that? Is that a word? Is quitted a word? Can you check that for me? But there's five thoughts that I would have right before I quit something. And I want to share them with you because I know that there's plenty of people that are out there right now who set goals for this year, who have things on their heart, on their mind, on their spirit that they really want to accomplish this year, but it's already been hard, right? I went and played basketball the other day and I haven't played since before the pandemic. So I got to the spot where I wanted to get to, thought I was going to, go up and dunk it. And yeah, that didn't happen. So I know a lot about not reaching goals though, right? 17 jobs in 11 years prior to starting a business, lots of challenges in growing a business in the past couple of years, lots of opportunities that have worked out really well, lots of opportunities that haven't worked out well. And so there used to be a time in my life where I would, lay in my bed for hours and hours and sometimes days and not really accomplish much just because I didn't feel like it. And it's all because of these five thoughts that I would have, which typically preceded a decision to quit. And I don't want you to quit. So I decided that I'd jump on here and check in with you and just share what those five thoughts are, or those five statements that I would make in my head before I quit something. And maybe it resonates with you, and maybe it helps you, you know, keep going for one more day towards your goal. So the first thought that I would have is I don't feel like it because whatever reason. Sometimes it was because I didn't like my manager. Sometimes it was because I picked the wrong job and I didn't like what was being suggested of me to do. And so sometimes that feeling of not wanting to do something or didn't feel like doing something was sometimes an indicator of what I should or I shouldn't be doing. Like sometimes I had this thought that because I don't feel like doing it, maybe it's not the right thing for me. Maybe I'm not supposed to do it. Maybe it's not my passion. Maybe it's not my dream. And what I learned is that motivation isn't something that we can really rely on because it's really based on emotions. And there's chemicals sometimes that have an impact on that, but then there's also just the meaning that we make of the encounters that we have, right? Depending on how you grow up or depending on what things mean to you, me being micromanaged by a manager, maybe in the way I interpreted meant something negative. And so I would allow that to cause me to be, upset or allow it to demotivate me. Right. And so that was something that I had to grow through is understanding that motivation isn't necessarily something that I can rely on. It can inform me if there's reasons or ethical reasons why I'm not motivated to do a job, then that's one thing. But it's also when I am clear about why I'm doing something and I understand that I am doing something that is in line with my values, that I don't have to rely on motivation. Um, I just have to rely on motion because motion is what creates the emotion. So getting out and doing things anyway. You may not feel like going to work out tomorrow. You may not feel like reading tomorrow. You may not feel like, doing whatever you need to do to make progress in your business, in your life, or in your relationship. I've had to do lots of things this year that I haven't necessarily wanted to do, but that I needed to do. And so that was something that I had to grow through and that I'm still growing through and I'm still trying to get better and better at doing things for the right reasons instead of doing it because I feel like doing it or doing it because I'm motivated. The second thought that I would have before I quit something is I'm afraid to because dot dot dot. And this is could be a number of different things. One is that I'm an introvert I think I'm naturally an introvert and I've had to learn how to communicate and relate to other people and sell and do things like walk into strangers' businesses. That's something that was required when you start a business in the field that I'm in. And that's typically how business development is done. And so I've had to become comfortable with that. But honestly, being at networking events isn't necessarily something that I look forward to. It's something that I do because, you know, I'm more afraid of what will happen if I don't do it versus the rejection that I could experience by going to a networking event or having to go out and talk to strangers. So, one thing that I thought in the past was that because I thought that I could achieve my goals without having to be afraid. And so sometimes, maybe the fear can cause us to forget everything and run in the other direction of our goals and dreams. But instead, what I think I've come to realize is that fear is going to be there, and that's okay. That I'm just going to use fear to my advantage. And the way that I use fear to my advantage is I think about the negative things that I will have to encounter if I don't go talk to strangers. So that's another thought that I had. That thought was I'm afraid to because, and there's a variety of reasons for why we don't do things, and sometimes it has to do with fear. The third thought that I would have right before I quit something is I don't feel worthy because dot dot dot. And sometimes that is, growing up with the background that I grew up, maybe not seeing examples of people who do the kind of work that I do, or you know not having the expectation that I could. I don't know. There's a lot of things that cause us not to feel worthy of the thing that we're going after. And sometimes people call that imposter syndrome. Sometimes we call it something else. But when we don't feel worthy of something, it's easy for us to decide that we're not going to have it, even though we may have set a goal for achieving it. Right. And so I think the thing that has helped me over the years with that has been having a support system and people around me that believe in me, which I am totally lucky to have. The people that I do work with and do business with today, I'm incredibly grateful for because they've given me an opportunity to prove myself and prove my worth. And I tend to listen very closely to, either compliments or things that they have to say because I haven't always felt worthy of, success or the things that I'm striving for. And when you don't get that encouragement to be everything that you can be from an early age, per se, then it's easy to maybe not expect certain things of yourself. And so if you're feeling like you're not worthy of the goal that you set this year, maybe it's not because you're not worthy of it. Maybe it's because you just need a better support system that can help you learn how to expect nothing less than the goal that you set for yourself this year. It's not because you can't achieve it. It's because you might need a new environment. You might need a stronger support system that can see the things that you're going after and wants it for you as bad as you want it for you. And sometimes even more than you want it for you, to be honest. I know that I didn't start my business until I had a support system around me that could reaffirm my ideas around why I wanted to be an entrepreneur to begin with. And I would listen very intently in those conversations to things that they said about me. And then I would go back and I would write them in my journal. And I would go back and I would review those when I thought about quitting, when I was having a tough time, when I was having a tough day. I would have those conversations with those people that were in my support system. I'd write down the things that they said about me that were positive, and I would reflect on those. So if you're thinking about quitting on your goals right now, on the 14th of January, I'm encouraging you not to. I'm encouraging you to strengthen your support system. The fourth thought that I had right before I quit something was, I don't know what direction to go in, dot, dot, dot. And I think that sometimes we get locked into doing certain types of work or we get locked into doing things a certain way And because it's not working, we think that it's the goal that needs to change versus our behavior that needs to change. And I think that it's important to have partners and mentors that can direct us, because sometimes we're willing to do the work, but we're running east looking for a sunset, and we're not getting any closer to our goal. And so we quit going for the goal because we feel like we put it all out there on the line. We put our family's financial future at risk. We put our emotional, our embarrassment is a real thing, right? We don't want to be embarrassed. And so we've put all this effort into something. And so we want to quit when the goal was legitimate and the goal was for us, but we didn't allow ourselves to be vulnerable enough to have someone in our life, like a mentor or a coach, to help us navigate that so that we could get where we wanted to go faster. And so if you're thinking about, letting go of the goal that you set for yourself this year, but you haven't surrounded yourself with a mentor or a coach that can, help direct and guide you in the direction that you really want to go in, then I'd encourage you to maybe seek that out before you throw the goal out the window. And the fifth thing that I thought about right before I quit something, was I'm tired. This is not working. And that's similar to the one before, where we need a mentor or a coach to guide us. But I think that even when we have a mentor or a coach, I think sometimes we expect, especially in today's generation, we expect things to happen overnight. We expect every single business deal to go the way that we want it to go. I've had plenty of situations. I've had some wins as a solopreneur entrepreneur, and I've had some losses. Man, I've had times where I've put 6, 8 months into a project and then have it blow up in my face, and then have to pivot and try something else. And the pandemic and just all these different things, it's very difficult. It can be very difficult sometimes. And I think it's important for us to be patient. You're not going to lose 15 pounds in a week. You're not going to turn your marriage around in 3 days. You're not going to, double your business in 2 months. You might, these things can happen, right? But there's also a process to success. We can't cheat that process, and we can't expect things to happen with just perfectly. We have to learn from everything that we go through, and everything that we go through, hopefully we grow through it. And so I hope that this message to you was helpful tonight. I just wanted to jump on and just share and just check in and ask, like, what do you need right now? Do you feel like you need to just be in motion? Do you feel like, you need to, be more afraid of what will happen if you don't pursue this goal, right? Um, do you feel like you need a better support system that can see and appreciate your worthiness? Do you feel like you need a mentor or a coach to help direct you? Or do you feel like you just need to keep going and you need to just keep putting one foot in front of the other so you can get after the goal, you can achieve the goal that you really want to accomplish? In closing, I just want to say sometimes the thing we need is a mirror or a mentor to help us get to the next level. And in finding that mirror or that mentor, sometimes that's really the key to help us break through. So my name is Keith Sconyers. If there's anything I can do to support you this year, feel free to reach out. Take care. Peace.